This week on Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke, we welcome guest Larry White of Linton, Indiana. He is a retired D.O.D. of 32 years. On Veterans Day 2016, Larry became a stroke survivor, not victim. He stresses the importance of positivity, camaraderie, competition, and drive. He describes his story as a collection of stories, acknowledging the importance of collaboration in recovery. Larry's story is entitled, Go Further Together. Thank you for joining us for Part 1, Larry White's Story.
Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke is made possible by our guests and tax-deductible donations from friends and listeners like you. Join us in empowering stroke survivors with stories of wisdom, purpose, connection, and hope at www.beyondstillness.org.
Hello and welcome to Beyond Stillness. Stroke offers a powerful, life-changing shift in perspective. Each colorful memory creates a parable for life's greater teachings, a compass for journeys ahead, and inspired wisdom for unique growth. This radio show, Beyond Stillness, offers an hour of pause for storytelling and reflection. Ultimately, Beyond Stillness is a welcoming environment that reveres the moment beyond stroke's paralysis. Still moments unite humanity and divinity. I'm your host, Molly Bucola. Today we welcome guest Larry White from Linton, Indiana. He is a retired D.O.D. civilian of 32 years, with 3 years in the Army after high school. Larry is 67 years young, a husband, father of 2 daughters, and a proud grandpa of 1 grandson. In his spare time, Larry likes to get out on his trike and agitate his friends over coffee. Larry's story is entitled, Go Further. We'll start with a moment of pause. Before we can go further, oftentimes we have to sit still, appreciating, understanding, and acknowledging where we begin. Maybe taking awareness of our breath in this space, opening our minds and our hearts for that which is beyond. Today we offer gratitude for ways that our friends, our families, our caregivers, even acquaintances, have pushed us along our recovery journey. May we support and inspire other people on theirs. And today, we give thanks.
On Veterans Day 2016, I was traveling to Germany. When trying to board the second leg of my flight in Newark, New Jersey, I tried to hand the agent my passport and flight ticket. It fell right out of my left hand. A few moments later, I was lifting my bag into the overhead bin and realized my left arm wasn't any help. It wasn't working at all. When I headed back to my seat, my left leg was dragging along. I knew something was wrong. I asked the flight attendant for help. She asked, "Do you need medical assistance?" "Yes," I replied. Fear flooded me. I didn't know what was happening or what was about to happen. She quickly returned to the intercom, asking for a doctor on board. Next thing I knew, a doctor appeared and said, "Get him on oxygen. He's having a stroke." They whisked me off the plane, loaded me onto a gurney and into an ambulance to rush me to Rutgers University Hospital. At one point on the way, the emergency vehicle halted. There were shots fired in the area, and we weren't allowed to drive until further notice. I shared with the EMTs that had been in Iraq and Afghanistan and had never been hurt. I urged them to continue. Then we were given the word to proceed. We arrived at Rutgers University Hospital, one of the best neurology hospitals in the world. I was lucky. My stroke would have been 10 minutes later. We would have been in the air and over the ocean. And just so happened that my layover was 15 minutes from one of the best neurology hospitals in the world. I stayed at Rutgers University Hospital for 10 days. Then I was accepted on wings with a prayer patient, a Dr. Michael Gamble from Indiana, who is the owner of a jet equipped with medical equipment. The side of my case was one he wanted to support. He transported me back to Rehab Hospital of Indiana, RHI, to start my rehab. At one point, I was having chest pains, so they took me to another hospital where I was told I had blood clots moving from my leg to my lungs. I didn't remember much about this part. Big problem was my stroke was a bleeder, so after taking new x-rays and comparing them to the original, they put me on blood center. After 10 days in Methodist Hospital, I was transferred back to RHI. The first day was busy. I saw many different therapists, followed their intact procedure, and set my life and schedule. The second day, they gave me a wheelchair. My left leg and arm still didn't work. The therapist told me that I may never walk again. I thought, bullshit. I looked him in the eye and said, "You want to bet?" He said, "Let's get to work." And work we did. For the record, I left the hospital walking with a cane. Learning to walk, I kept telling myself, one more step, one more step. Walking with the cane, I'd say left foot, right foot, cane. Left foot, right foot, cane. Left foot, right foot, cane. At one point, someone asked, "Why the cane?" I replied, "Moral support." We all need moral support. I found it in my community of stroke survivors. I chose to surround myself with people dedicated to pushing themselves to go further. One day in the rehab hospital, I was sitting in my wheelchair waiting for a physical therapist. I noticed a stroke survivor who was walking the hall with a gait belt around his waist. He was pulling a gal in a wheelchair, just like a horse in his cart. This man was a patient and a stroke survivor like myself. The man was strong, confident, literally pulling other stroke survivors along. Today, he does so by hosting support groups, giving encouraging messages on Facebook. And for me, he pulled me along each day, send each other messages, compete against each other, and joke with each other almost daily. I knew I wasn't going to be in my wheelchair for life. And I also knew there were a lot of hard work ahead of me. This was a guy I wanted by my side. So I wheeled up to him and asked his name. "John Loomis," he replied confidently. "We have been friends ever since. We push each other. He is my inspiration, and he can do it, so will I." There's a side note to this. John Loomis has shared his story on this program also. I finally got to the point I could walk, but wanted to do more. So even though I was no longer in residential treatment, I continued therapy at RHI. I was ready for a challenge. There are victims and there are survivors. Survivors keep fighting, and one part of fighting is choosing your team. Victims lay there and ask, "Why me?" They get in their own heads, and sometimes their own worst enemy. I'm a survivor. I choose my team. I choose my family. We are really brothers and sisters. We support each other like family. We compete. We challenge each other like siblings. I'm stubborn, and I know it. I've never been a victim. I've always been trained to give it my all. So in recovery, I give it my all. In therapy, they put 20-pound ankle weights on each leg and 40-pound weighted vest on my torso. I got on the treadmill and went as fast as I could, then climbed 6 flights of stairs with the weights. I am a survivor and will continue to fight. When I returned home from therapy, I kept the challenge going. I put weights on my left arm all day long, trying to turn on and off lights, taking things off the counter. I'm a survivor. I want to act that way. One day at church, I was telling a friend, Billy Bedwell, about the treadmill set up at the hospital at RHI. It made it nearly impossible to fall. Then we started brainstorming. Together, we thought we may be able to make something like that ourselves. So we drove to Walmart, bought a boat winch, and a tree stand harness. People that hunt will know what I'm talking about when I say tree stand harness. It's a belt you put on your shoulder straps and goes around your legs so you won't fall out of the tree. When we returned home to the treadmill in my garage, we mounted the boat winch on the wall, run the cable up the wall and across the ceiling and drop down, attached the boat winch, the harness to it, and set it up, and I didn't have to worry about falling. I walked 3 to 4 miles with weights on my arm and legs. Another day, me and Billy were talking about my foot coming off the pedals on my recumbent bike. I've had tried right. My left foot kept falling off the pedals. So we went to the hardware store, bought flathead bolts and screws. We took an old pair of tennis shoes dedicated to biking. We screwed the left shoe onto the left pedal of the recumbent exercise bike, then slipped my insole back in the shoe. Now I could use both treadmill and recumbent bike in the privacy of my own home. I'm thankful Billy's problem solving with me. Together we built my own therapy gym. He has pushed me in recovery also. When I reached out to others, we were excited to join me on my recovery journey. At one point, I found Michelle Jensen, the founder of the Stroke Sweat Squad. My buddy John Loomis and I were the first members. We connected over a weekly Zoom meeting to support each other and challenge each other. John, Michelle, and I all have Fitbits, and one day Michelle sent us messages for a Fitbit challenge. She told us to walk as much as possible between Saturday and Sunday. We were able to watch each other's progress over the weekend. People now can do this with almost any smartwatch or phone. Our goal was to see which one of the three of us could walk the most steps. Game on, I thought. I went to the park to do my morning walk, and by the end of the day, I had around 30,000 steps. I walked about the same amount the next day. Just 3 years before, I wasn't able to walk one step. I don't remember how many steps John and Michelle got in, but we had high numbers also. The Fitbit Challenge became one of our weekly competitions. It's important to surround myself with motivated people. It is clear that other stroke survivors agree. Stroke Sweat Squad grows in over 7,000 members worldwide. I'm thankful for Michelle and John and my Stroke Sweat Squad crew. Before my stroke, I always enjoyed riding bikes, but now I struggle with balance. I had lost most freedom to explore on my own. My treadmill and recumbent exercise bike were great for the early stages, but at one point, I was ready to go outside and explore and meet people. Today, when walking around the city park, I saw a lady riding a hand trike. I stopped her and asked her about the trike. She told me she had a stroke due to her blood sugar, and this exercise helped her prevent another. She told me about a store in Indianapolis that sold adapted trikes for people with disabilities. Game on, I thought to myself. Off I went to check out Indianapolis Mega's trike store. I did a test ride and was hooked. Within a week, they had me set up. The braking and shifting was done with my right hand and straps so my left foot would stay on the pedal. My trike is made by Cat Trike. It's called a tadpole because it has two wheels in the front and one in the back, resembling a tadpole, a baby frog. They have many different types of trikes for different levels of abilities. I started to ride and was hooked. As you figured out, by now I'm a survivor and love the challenge. One day, My trike friend, Margaret, told me about the Tour de Cure, which is for diabetes. It's a 2-mile ride when I joined. The competition is held over a weekend. People post their mileage and rides. I love the positive support, competition, and camaraderie, and community. Soon after, while connecting with others on Facebook, I found Spokes Fighting Strokes. The organization's mission is to raise awareness for stroke prevention and inspire stroke survivors. Founder's name is Dan Zimmerman. He travels around the country in a motorhome pulling a trailer with 20 to 30 trikes. He lives in his motorhome and he goes to different places to let people try out the trikes. He has adaptations, both left-handed operation, right-handed operation, very unique and powerful people with disabilities. When Dan's truck pulls into town, it's a life-changing challenge for many. He makes bikes for people with varying disabilities. Some get to ride bikes for the first time in their lives. Others knew the joy and freedom of riding a bike before the medical setbacks and now are able to ride again. I wanted Dan Zimmerman on my team. He saw potential and offered support and even challenges others. When I hung around with Dan, I saw some of the biggest smiles when people ride the trikes. They have huge grins. We call them trike smiles. That's what happens when you discover joy and freedom. Most people with disabilities who try the trikes didn't want to stop. We go further together. 2021, 6 years after my stroke, Dan visited Indianapolis, and 5 of us spent the weekend riding around the city together. I loved riding with him and all the others that day. We shared stories, laughter, big ideas, and challenge with each other. That's it. That's my story. Collection of stories I chose to share with you. The Beyond Stillness Stories After Stroke Community. My story is a collection of many other stories. There are a lot of people who have been part of my recovery thus far. If you are a stroke survivor, I challenge you to list the people who have influenced your recovery. In this story, I have named just a few influential, positive, motivating, supportive, and challenged people who have become my team, my family. And there are many, many more who are important in my life and recovery. When I start to list them, I'm amazed and thankful. I challenge you to list influence, positive, motivating, supportive, and challenging people in your life and recovery. Don't forget to count the acquaintances, like the flight attendant or the lady riding the first adapted trike or bike you'll ever see. You will be amazed and thankful too. I recognize the importance of putting myself there. I'm not a stroke victim. I'm a stroke survivor. I'm heard. You may never walk again. I thought, bullshit. I needed to surround myself with a team that would support and challenge me. Again, that's my story, and it's not just mine. All of our stories interact with each other. I strive to be one who believes in myself and believes in you. We go further together. As for the conclusion, I don't see one in sight. I invite you to join me in writing the story of my life. You can find me on Facebook, Larry White of Indiana. Contact me. Game on. We will support and challenge each other.
That we will.
Thank you for the opportunity. I wish we could carry on.
Thank you for sharing, Larry. It's really, really powerful. You've got a lot of friends. You're lucky and blessed by the friends, but you've also reached out and been a really good friend to them.
I hope so.
You have. And a friend to me. Thank you, Larry. And now we'll close with a moment of pause. Calling to mind the people we've encountered throughout recovery. Larry shared that acquaintances are not strangers, but acquaintances become friends. Let us call to mind the people who are close to us and the people who may be more distant. the people that we recognize, and others who are there without us even knowing. Let us imagine and feel their presence in our lives. They are our team. May we also serve as support and inspiration as we challenge each other and push each other forward. Because we go further together.
Amen.
Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke is made possible by our guests and tax-deductible donations from friends and listeners like you. Join us in empowering stroke survivors with stories of wisdom, purpose, connection, and hope at www.beyondstillness.org. Another way to support is to like, share, or subscribe to our weekly show. Again, thank you for devoting time and space for this week's episode of Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke.
Thank you for devoting time and space to listen to Part 1, Larry White's story. Stick with us for Part 2, Larry White's interview. Each colorful memory creates a parable for life's greater teachings, a compass for journeys ahead, and inspired wisdom for unique growth. In this episode of Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke, we heard from guest Larry White, who became a stroke survivor, not victim, on Veterans Day 2016. Larry shared stories about other stroke survivors who pushed and inspired him through recovery. Larry reminds stroke survivors that there isn't a conclusion to his story, but instead a united path forward. Larry's story is entitled, Go Further Together. Again, thanks for listening. And remember, as part of the stroke community, you are more than supportive. You are inspirational.
If you are part of the stroke community and have a story you'd like to share on the show, please contact us. Email molly@beyondstillness.org.